Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Oh my God. It's been a while. I haven't been on a live webinar and I miss every single one of you. It's got like what, around a month and a half now. So it's just been a very busy time and I've been doing a lot of different things all together at the same time. And that's why I was sharing a lot of content with you earlier this year and late last year. So in the meantime, I was doing a lot of work, and today it's going to be a very special one because I have with me, and she's here already. I have with me Hiba. Hi, Hiba.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So I was telling everyone who's joining us
Can
today.
I envy you first for the weather that you're in?
Yes, you can, you may. It's actually really, and it's a little bit cool. Like I'm enjoying like 17 degrees for me.
Yeah,
It's quite cold, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was just telling everyone that I have been away for a while, and during that time, I have been working on several other different projects, like many different projects. One of them with you actually, but while you are away, but yet here, you know.
In the space.
Yes. Let me just first open the Q&A space and also the chat space so that whenever people join and they start having questions, they will be able to ask those questions in the chat box. And I was saying that I'm so happy to be back because it's been a while, and it's been a while that I haven't been on a webinar, a live webinar with everybody. And now it's not just a live webinar with everybody. I also have you with me. So that makes it even more special.
I'm so happy that I'm with you as well. It's always great to have you and to be in your space and your smile and your energy. So I'm so excited for today's topic.
Yeah,
It's very important. We live it every single day,
yeah.
and I'm so excited for what's gonna come up with in your space.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, for those of you who have just joined or who will be joining, or maybe even watching the replay later, today I'm hosting Hiba because Hiba is also an expert in her own field, and Hiba works with one of the most complicated, yet not really complicated, organs that we have in our body, and that's our brain. And she's going to give us a little bit of an insight into our own brain. And at the same time, we're going to be talking about procrastination and the reasons why we procrastinate and how important it is to actually differentiate between procrastination and putting things off for many other reasons. And so I'm so happy to have you here. Please feel free to ask us any questions during the webinar, and we will answer you at the end of the webinar for, once we are done with the topics that we need to cover from our end. And before I start with the webinar, I'd like to share a personal story. And then maybe Hiba, if you have a personal story about procrastination and you'd like to share it with us later, that would be great as well. So I
Yeah, sure.
remember a few years back, especially right before Corona time hit, and also during Corona, I was going through an interesting phase in my life where I was transforming, but I didn't really realize that I was transforming. I only realized that later. Once I transformed, I'm like, oh, so this is what was happening. Okay, now I get it. So during that time, I was always that person who had so many things in her mind. I used to have a lot of ideas. I used to think about doing so many things, and I used to be that person who wanted to conquer the world with ideas left, right, and center. And I was always so excited. I would come up with ideas to for things for me to do, for businesses, for projects, and I would go all the way in And sometime along the way, I would not really hit a wall, but I would find a reason to stop. I would like kind of go and dig for that reason. And it's most of the time the reason used to be that who am I to be able to do all of this? You know, who am I to manage this kind of like a huge project or a huge endeavor that I wanted to take. So this kind of imposter syndrome used to kick in every single time I reached in my preparation to a phase where things were becoming very close to fruition or to reality and to becoming real in my life. I would find a way to stop myself. I would find a way to sabotage everything that I would be working on. And that, my dear friends, is the best kind of definition of procrastination. This is
Mm,
procrastination. It's not really putting off the work that you want to do today till tomorrow, because today, for example, you might not have the resources, or you might not have the time, or you might not have the knowledge, and you put something off until you learn or until you have the resources. That is kind of postponing things. That's not procrastinating. Procrastinating
mm,
basically is when you start very big, and then you stop and you don't do anything about it, and then you start something else, and then again you do the same thing. That, in my dictionary, that is procrastination. So this is the story that I wanted to share with you. And then when I realized I was doing this, after a while I thought, why am I doing this? What is the main cause for this? And only then
mm,
I start realizing that, you know what, this is a problem and I need to fix it. And I have to find a way to get out of this pattern of mine and really go all the way in, not just all the way in until up to a certain moment and then just stop everything. If I tell you how many ideas I have, in my files, in my drawers, in my brain, you'd be amazed at how many ideas I have and I have started in my life previously that I have never finished. And this brings me to actually what I did over the past a month and a half. So I've been doing this for almost a little bit over a year now. Those live webinars, and I've been going live and talking to you and sharing from my own life experiences with you. And over the past month and a half, I was very busy preparing for many projects at the same time. The old Maysoon would have simply stopped doing this, right? And she would have procrastinated on this, and she would have stopped doing this, and she would have stopped even taking care of the you as a family, as members of my community. And
mm,
she would have just, gone in a different direction and started something completely different in her life. But because I have worked so hard on stopping this pattern in my life, I was able to find an alternative until I can come back. Instead of stopping, I made sure that I do not leave my people hanging. I made sure that I do not leave people behind. And I made sure that I'm going to carry on with this in the best possible
mm,
way, given that I did not have the proper time to go live with you. And what I did was I put the lives off in time. I did not procrastinate. And this is the difference between the two. I put it off for a certain period of time. And in the meantime, I was giving you content. I was sharing with you more experiences. I was going live, but not live on the Facebook group, so that you don't lose track, so that you don't lose interest, that you are still there when I'm back to be with you. And if that doesn't explain how much change I have been through, I don't think anything else would, because the old me wouldn't be here right now doing this and sharing this experience with you and having Hiba here with me to also share from her side. What do you think about?
Well, well, very well done. I salute you for that. And it takes a lot of courage and discipline and commitment to be able to have all of these all together. Like I know you have your own work and like that you're committed to, and all of these things. I just wanted to ask you about how was it? Were you a workaholic when you had that experience previously? Like you have many ideas, you've been into many things into your life. Where do you consider yourself you used to be a workaholic? Like you have to do many things, and
Yeah,
was that
it's very interesting that you ask this question, but coming from you, I understand why. But I think yes, yes,
yeah.
I used to be that person who has to have her time always filled with something. If
Mm,
I didn't know how to relax, which is something that
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm an expert in, relaxation.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Why I'm asking, because one part of our brain is responsible for this whole thing,
Mm,
that is causing us to become workaholic, and we're fearing judgment, and then we're like we're kind of anxious as well.
mm,
So this part is called basal ganglia, and when it's unbalanced, we go into all of these that we put ourselves in. And the way forward to finish all of these tasks is to become a workaholic. Workaholic means that I have to finish that. I have to. So I'm thinking a lot of things, but I have to do this. I have to do that. So this is what normally happens, and that's why I just wanted to confirm that you were in that space where it wasn't you as such, but going from because I know you as well. You've been into developing your own health system. You're taking care of your body, you're taking care of your nervous system, you're taking your vitamins and all of that, which makes everything become way much more balanced for
mm.
you to go into a more structured and this is what I wanted to add. Maybe later on we talk about it a little bit more and what you have done to go into that balance.
Yeah, actually, I want to talk about it now because what you talk about is very interesting. I want to understand. So, in other words, what you're trying to say is procrastination is kind of also very similar to us being out of balance. Is that what is
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Now, this part, like there are many parts in our brain, of course, and that's why we are functioning. But once we know that there's one function of it is like it keeps us to be emotional, take things with our movement, being motivated, and this is kind of the motivation, right?
Mm,
Adjustment of the movement, and like so you see people who are workaholic, they are unable to stay still. They're anxious. They want to do things all the time. They want to move all the time. While it's very important part of our brain that whenever we are into, we feel motivated to do something, we can, imagine that you are not motivated to do something. How would you do things? So it's very important part in our brain that we need to be motivated, we need to be emotional towards the thing in order to do it. So
mm,
it's emotions, movement, and that kind of motivation and pleasure as well, because if you're not enjoying what you are doing, then there's no pleasure in the whole thing.
mm,
Now, if this part becomes over, we are doing it over than the normal, what happens? We're going to move a lot,
mm,
and we're going to be too emotional about if we didn't do it, what's going to happen? Then we go into the fear of judgment. So that fear of judgment will lead us to going into, I have to do more. I have to fix everything. I have to race, and you see them not only workaholic but anxious
Mm,
and very, very emotional because they tend to freeze
mm,
in certain emotions. They tend to freeze in like if there was a situation, in order not to be judged, what is the way forward? You freeze. So
mm,
some people, they tell you, I don't know why I didn't say it. I didn't explain myself. I didn't, go into that thing. Now, these are the really motivated, like over workaholic. Now, the underactivity in that area goes later on into Parkinson. So imagine, like,
wow.
so we can be overactive, hyper, and we can be underactive in that. So the best way is to be balanced.
Balanced. Yeah. And you say something very important is when we are trying to do things in our life, and this is one of the reasons why we procrastinate. You mentioned fear. You said fear of judgment, but fear is also fear of so many things. Fear of judgment is one of them, and fear of failure, which is one of the points that I mentioned in the post and in the emails sent out to everyone, is
Mm,
we tend to, like, one of the reasons why we procrastinate and we freeze, like you say it so rightly. This freezing, the procrastination is actually the freezing, the act of freezing,
the
when
mode.
we stop doing anything. That's the freezing. So we freeze because we are afraid to fail, and fear of failure is mainly because of we are afraid to be judged, right? It's like they go hand in hand together. We are afraid of failing, and failure doesn't come from us. Failure comes from us listening to what others are saying, or what others are thinking, or what others are portraying, or are titling whatever we are doing, so
Yeah.
basically their judgment. And fear of judgment is, in this context specifically, is equal to fear of failure, and that's why we freeze. So this is one of the main reasons why people procrastinate, is because they
Mm,
are worried what others would think. And what these others would think is basically, am I going to fail them, or am I going
yeah.
to be successful in what I'm doing? So this is one of the main reasons why we procrastinate.
And and I know you're gonna talk about this, but maybe it's time to talk about it. It's like whenever you have this kind of feelings, it's like if you wait a little bit and you calm yourself down and you try to think who was the first person who made you fear of being judged, who has judged you first
Mm,
in your whole life,
yeah,
and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper into that situation to be able to find out what is the root cause. Because, it's not now. It has nothing to do with you being now in that situation or that incident or that job or that boss or being a mom or being
yeah.
there's kind of a root cause.
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is that when we procrastinate, it's true that we're doing it now, but the main reason why we do it is something that has happened for us. Like I always say, I never say happened to
Yeah.
us. I always say happened for us. When
Yeah.
we're like earlier in our life, that left this very specific mark that keeps us kind of stuck in a
Mhm.
place, and it manifests itself later on in our life by us procrastinating sometimes, or by us being afraid of being judged, or by us being afraid of failure. Even
Yeah.
not being judged, even the fear of failure must have started at one point in our life, when maybe we failed and we were scolded for it, and we were treated badly because we failed, or the reaction that happened because of this failure around us was so ginormous for us as beings, maybe as kids, maybe we were really, really young and we couldn't really understand or fathom why is this such a dramatic or a drastic problem? And then it
Yeah.
becomes really something that we carry on with us. And this is one of the things that I try to help people with, is how to get out of the patterns that we have created for ourselves from when we were kids mainly. And it starts then, but then it becomes part of who we are, part of our identity and part of our life. And then to get out of there, we need to first and foremost, this topic, we can focus on the points
Yeah.
I have mentioned, but this topic is so big that we can talk about it for ages, because of all
Yeah. Yeah.
that we go through.
Maybe let me you like this
Oh
this
yeah,
thing
I,
whenever I do.
I love it. Yeah.
You love.
Explain it.
So to go back to how our brain functions and what actually happens in whatever, was it a fear of judgment, was it being workaholic, or like very spontaneous and just spelling out words that is inappropriate,
Yeah,
or like being very, very sensitive, it goes with what actually happens. So imagine that this is our brain.
yeah.
And this part is our functioning like our CEO, our boss. And of course, the boss makes reasoning of decision making and how things should work and the timing and how to put things into order and all of that. So this is the boss of you, which is you. But what makes our ourselves like become not our own boss when that part of our brain does not connect with the rest of the brain, which is our emotions. And this part is our emotion in our brain. So
Mm,
imagine we get triggered. When we get triggered and we're very emotional, what happens is our emotional brain is going to push our thinking brain and will not make sense. So our actions, our decisions, our procrastination, our oversensitivity will have no, from anybody who's looking around, no, it doesn't make sense. Like that's why people get angry and so on, because our emotions are pushing away our thinking. And this is actually what normally happens. So, the root cause that I always talk about, the root cause that needs to be calmed down, and these are our pushing buttons. So, if somebody's triggering you, you're going to be like angry, you're going to react, you're going to be saying something that is nasty, maybe,
mm,
or snapping at somebody because you don't need to do that because you can say nice words or just a calming ones instead of snapping or understanding that person. But why do we do that?
mm,
Because we're so emotional. Our emotions got triggered,
mm,
and that has a very, it goes down to the roots where what has happened. Who was the first person who told you that you need to work really hard, you need to get very good mark, or else
mm,
you need to you have to be really pretty instead of like being humble and being lovely and all of that. So this is the game. Whenever you're not feeling okay, check what's happening,
yeah.
go back to the roots.
So I'm gonna ask the people who are with us on the webinar if they have any like, do they
I'm
feel this?
relating to what you're saying.
Are they resonating with this? Do they relate?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, most of the time, and it's nice, like this example for me is very interesting, because when we talk about the emotions and how we react, and this is separation between the two. That's what happens when we have a bigger reason behind the emotion that is triggered by something that is, like, for us, we become a little bit clueless, like, what is happening? Why am I reacting this way? We don't even know. And it's very important. So for all of you who are watching this now, and for all of you who will watch the replay, just like Hiba said, when something happens in your life and you have this separation in your reactions, because really it's not a reaction that makes sense. That's the separation that I'm talking about. You want to ask
Mm.
yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is this really happening because of this, that is like this incident that is taking place now? Or is this something that has been rooted in myself for years and years? And this is just a simple trigger that has, moved those emotions, and hence I am reacting this way. So,
Yeah. And somebody is like sharing that they relate a lot with what we're saying, and that um, even if you're 48 or 50 or 60, it's going to keep on happening until you stop it. There's one time where you're going to find somebody or be invited into like this webinar to get this consciousness
mm,
instead of being steered by the subconscious of what exactly is happening. So it's very, very true. You get kind of a stuck in the past, and that childhood rejection, as you mentioned, it is kind of a trauma.
yeah,
And if you don't figure it out and find out why and when and how, there's very easy tools that myself and Maysoon we teach. It's like how you get out of that trauma and stop this downward spiral where things needs to move on,
yeah.
isn't it, Maysoon?
Yeah, 100%. I always say in my teachings, you wanna figure out obviously the reason, and sometimes it's not that straightforward. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it takes a lot more effort than one would like to spend on something like this. But believe me, when you do, it's the satisfaction that you get later on. And I hope some of the people here who are on this webinar have worked with me before, and they know that this shift that starts happening when you start working on yourself, it becomes kind of a non-stop journey, because the satisfaction that you get when you start seeing the results is so amazing that you just don't want to stop. You want to release more, you want to figure out more, you want to get out of that pattern more. And here today we're focusing on procrastination as a pattern. There are lots of other patterns that we have in our life, but going back to procrastination and why we procrastinate, the other reason that I wanted to also focus on today is that lack of clarity, which is very important when we don't really know what we want in our life. And that's why diving within and having this inwards journey and understanding who we are, who we truly are, what our aspirations are, what our talents are, so basically now I'm telling you the reason, and I'm also giving you the solution at the same time. So the reason is the lack of clarity, and that lack of clarity is not knowing who we truly are from within. So
Maysoon,
yeah,
sorry to stop you, but the lady who's mentioning, mention please in the chat what are the tasks that you are not finishing, so maybe we can help you as well during this call. Sorry to stop you. Go
no
ahead,
worries.
Maysoon.
No worries. So basically, when you start diving within and when you start understanding your own potential, really, this is when you stop having lack of clarity and things become more obvious to you. And then you start having more and more focus the minute you start diving within and figuring out your own potential, figuring out what drives you and what makes you happy, what makes you want to do things, what makes you want to accomplish things, and what makes you want to complete things, because procrastination is exactly the opposite of that. So when you start having clarity about who you are and who you truly and what you truly contain I consider us as a vessel, right? This vessel has got so much within it. It has got so much potential. It has got so much energy that needs to be spread, right? But for us to be able to spread it, we want to know what it is. And those
Mm.
blocks that we have in our lives, these are the blocks that do not allow us to understand really and to have clarity about who we truly are and what we truly need to move forward and stop procrastinating. So this is one of the main things that we can do to stop procrastinating, is doing that inwards journey. So Herculine is saying, I did an online English teaching course to generate an income, but I still did not get to do practicals to start looking for a job. So if you tell us like what it is that you think is stopping you from looking for a job, is it the English or is it something else? Because sometimes we give ourselves reasons that are far from reality just because we don't have that clarity. Okay, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
mm,
being focused and as Maysoon was saying, like the clarity of that. Like if you're looking for a job, what type of job? What do you feel? What do you like? Where do you see yourself? It all has to do with intention. And if every single day you have more of a higher vibration, let's say, okay? So, what do I mean by higher vibration? Our nervous system allows us to attract positives and alike. So, if I'm starting, if I will come up with excuses in my brain to reject any form of positivity. Well, this is the thing. So if I'm gonna tell you that if you're gonna keep on having the negatives, you're gonna attract the like. So you're gonna attract that I'm not getting a job. Why I'm not getting a job? So have that kind of intention of being seeing what exactly. So have a clarity. What type of work that you would like to have? What do you like? Where do you see yourself? Who do you want to be? Okay, if you answer these questions, then what type of job do I want? How much income do I want to get? So clarify as if you're like somebody's giving you the magic wand and like go ahead, say it and
mm,
write this down.
yeah,
The more that you ask yourself those things, then you become kind of a clear. I want a job that is like 24/7. No, definitely no, I don't want the 24/7. I want a relaxed, easy, but at the same time encouraging, motivating. What motivates you? Maybe you reach a point where nothing is motivating you at the point now. But when was the first time, or when throughout your life have you felt that you are really motivated? Isn't it, my sons? Like we need to ask ourselves questions about clarity to clarify what exactly makes me happy.
yeah. A lot of people
So
they like many of us, many people don't stop and ask these questions. Many people are living in the very fast pace of life, especially the current life that we live in, with the internet,
yeah,
social media, with being connected all the time. We really have hardly have the time to even sometimes listen to our own thoughts, and this is major. That's
yeah,
why I talk about the diving within, because to be able to dive within and understand your own potential, understand your own likes and dislikes, you rightfully say it. What triggers me? What pushes me? What motivates me? Do we ever stop and ask ourselves these questions? No, we don't. We only do it when we are on the path of enlightenment, when we start working on ourselves, when we start diving within. That's when we take a breath and sit and start wondering about these very big questions that we think are big questions, but in reality, they're not that big. They're very obvious if we actually stop and ask them and listen to the answers, because most of the time we ask, we say like it, but we always say it in a negative way, which is very interesting. We always talk about things in our life in the negative aspect, or like I do, we never say what we want. We always say what we don't want. And newsflash for everyone listening, your subconscious mind does not understand negation. So if you keep on saying what you don't want, your subconscious mind thinks that this is what you actually want. So if I say, I don't want a man who will betray me, trust me, I will always get a man who will betray me, because my subconscious mind is listening to these words, a man who will betray me. Not and don't, they do not exist to our subconscious mind. And the reality is that our brain, as much as we love it, as much as we want to give it power, it doesn't really
Mm.
hold the power. What really holds the power is our subconscious mind. And what really controls our life, everything that we do, is our subconscious mind. So that's why the diving is very important. That's why the going back to the first time, or what happened, or why am I feeling this way now? What happened in my childhood that made me reach this point? And you talk about something very important, Hiba. You mentioned that you want to know exactly what you want and you want to write it. The writing exercise is very important. It's not about just saying things. This is not about a one time only and then that's it. We live happily ever after. This is a practice. This is a practice that we want to do on daily basis. This is a practice that we want to become experts in, you know, a practice that will allow us to live our day to day without having to live every single moment in the past, and without having to worry all the time about the future. We are missing on the most important time, which is now, because we are
Yeah.
always thinking about the past and living in the past, or we are always afraid and wondering about how our future is going to be, and we are missing living the moment. So to go back to the procrastination part of things and how to get out of that, those goals, those things that you were mentioning, Hiba, that I want this and I want that. And I had a client once, I want to share this. I asked her, what's your biggest dream?
Mm.
She's Lebanese, right? She told me, my biggest dream is to bring peace to Lebanon. And I think this is never going to happen. So the first thing I said, first of all, and she said, no, she didn't say, I think this is, I think I am too small to be able to fulfill this dream. So she was already in that mindset that she won't be able to do it, and that this dream is very big for her. So one of the things that when we procrastinate is very important for us to get out of procrastination, a practice that we can do, is to make those big dreams smaller and to fulfill them on a smaller scale, step by step. Just like you are going up a ladder. You know, if you want to jump from the ground to the second floor, it's impossible, right? It's like you have to have special talent, you know, you have to be kind of like the expandables, right? But if you have a ladder and you go up the ladder step by step, eventually you will reach the second floor, but you won't be able to jump from zero velocity, go up to the second floor without any proper step by step process. So when we are afraid, or when we reach a point where we think we're going to be procrastinating, one of the solutions for us not to procrastinate is to make sure that we set realistic goals that are smaller. And then eventually we will reach that big goal that in our mind we think it's not realistic. But if we set those smaller steps, those smaller realistic goals, we will reach that big unrealistic goal.
It's very, very true, Maysoon. It's like those baby steps. Like you're not going to be hiking, reaching directly the mountain, the top of the mountain, if you're not going to take those steps.
Sure.
So what I would advise is to have at least one thing to do per day, and write it down. We keep on saying, write it down. And once you write it down, make it tick. The moment that you make it tick, something in your brain will push certain hormones, which is gonna make you feel that you're achieving.
Mm.
And the moment that you start to achieve, you want to achieve a little bit more. So the moment that you make this tick, make another one after you finish. Maybe if you're able to do three and then take one during the day or two, or then the third, you're going to be motivated to do more. So
Mm.
have those lists of things and then start ticking and keep that list in front of you. So you see yourself, you are achieving. Actually, like you mentioned that you've wasted a lot in your life. It's you've done a lot. Think about if you list what are the things that you have done throughout your life, you're gonna find out that you've done a lot.
Yeah.
So take this kind of acknowledgement, acknowledge yourself, and make those ticks. So part of procrastination is that our brain is not helping us to move forward because we are not making those ticks. We're not playing this game with our brain. It's like, okay, look, I'm doing it. Like when we were kids, we used to do a task and then go to our teacher, like, look, I've done it. And she's gonna say, yes, tick. So do this game with yourself, you know? It's like do this tick for yourself, and then things will help. And other I'd like to share as well, Maysoon, the other things that can help our brain boost stop those negative, a little bit negative thinking.
Yeah.
There are practices that needs to be done, but as well, like what's happening with your going for a walk? What about your daily routine?
Mm.
Because when it's gloomy outside, you feel like there's something happening. You don't want to go outside. But what if you put a music and you start to dance? What if you move like what I do? Because when I moved from Dubai now to Jordan and it's damn cold, I start to put my board in front of me and I stand. So I keep moving. The movement by itself
Mm.
allows me to feel like I'm pumping more motivational hormones into my brain. Like dopamine goes up. I feel like, okay, I'm going to tick that. I put this, I'm going to tick it. And then I have like my calendar. I put it as well outside so
Yes.
that on a weekly basis, I want to know what am I doing. So when you change, and this is what's happening with me, my sons, like when you change space, when you change places, when you keep on moving, sometimes you don't find your space. And that keeps you feeling like, what do I want to do now? It's like I don't feel comfortable. Like as well, the space has a lot
Yeah.
to do with being like focused and connected, grounded, and so on. So we're not going to talk about that, I know. But
Like I said,
what's happening with me, so I totally relate.
yeah, but like I said earlier, this topic, I mean, can take us to so many other topics. And it's funny that you talk about the space because it's one of the things that I actually help my clients with, is how to
Yeah.
make their space a space that allows them to, first of all, give, like, give them space for their own imagination. And Herculean, just so you know, 100% visual triggers are very important. I was just about to tell Hiba, she was talking about us as kids when we go to the teacher and we are so happy that we did the task, and she would say tick. I remember we used to have like those stars that the star stickers that they would put on our forehead or something like that. There's nothing wrong with you rewarding yourself. In fact, please reward yourself, because that
Yeah.
is how your subconscious mind functions. When you are giving those triggers to yourself, your subconscious mind will understand that this is a good thing. Oh, I should be doing more of this. This is what I should be doing more of. So the more you reward yourself with anything, it could be, I don't know, a piece of cake. It could be a chocolate if you are a chocolate lover. It could be you giving yourself a 10 minutes break, not doing anything, just sitting there and enjoying maybe a musical passage, or just sitting and doing nothing. But definitely reward yourself. One more thing that's very important: we tend to be very, very hard on ourselves. We
Mm.
want to learn compassion. And compassion is not about just being compassionate to others. Compassion should start first and foremost from us. You want to be compassionate to you before you even want to be compassionate to others. You want to be compassionate to yourself. You want to give yourself a break. You want to be less hard on yourself and more appreciating to everything that you do. And to answer you about, you said that you used to have those lists of things, but then you get disappointed and you stop. So, how about instead of listing them all at once, do it gradually? So, list one or two or three maximum. Three is a good number. Just list three every time. And once you finish those three, list another three. You know,
Or, oh,
don't overwhelm yourself with a big list. Okay, so start with a smaller list, and then, like Hiba said, when your dopamine level starts getting higher, I'm having goosebumps just telling you this because I've experienced it myself. The more you achieve, the more you will have capacity to enlarge that list, or to make that list bigger and bigger. And you will stop being disappointed and start being happy about the results. And again, reward yourself for the smallest, and the reward for the smallest success is as big as the biggest reward that you will ever get. So you start with rewarding yourself for the smallest successes that you will have when you stop.
mm,
Like even today, I want to congratulate you for being here and for listening to us and for taking
yeah,
this, for, putting yourself first and taking yourself to a place where you are, you know, maybe accepting support, or maybe accepting guidance, or listening to somebody who has been there, done that, and they've been through the hassles of all these problems to get them out, and see where they are right now. And believe me, we've
yeah.
all been there, right, Hiba? I'm sure you've been through all of
You
these.
know, I've been through all of these things, and when you understand how the brain works, like there are a couple of brain hacks. Let me share it. It's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Now, before the brain hacks, like you mentioned, you have many big lists. Now, if you already have the list, open those lists and check today what is the three priorities. So
Mm,
what is the most important thing that you need to do and now? So if you have kind of this urgency, you're going to push those hormones, and if you have an urgency that this needs to be done first. So first thing, just put one, which is the first one. After that, then you go with the rest. Now, why having the list? Because as well, even just putting the list without doing it, this is the brain hack, huh? Your subconscious brain, because our brain is 50% vision.
mm,
So without you doing it, your brain will find ways to get you what you want, even without doing it. So there's an energy in the space that's going to allow your brain, your subconscious brain, to start working. Now, time will tell, but by default, you're already ticking many boxes. So this is a very important hack that I always like to share. Without you even doing it, you start to the space, the opportunities will start to get you that. So put that, imagine, have big imagination and put it out there in front of you so you can see it. Now, if you don't, if like I have many people who are like a little bit shy to show, especially if you have a full house and your kids or your husband or just friends coming around, have it on your mobile. Have a sticky note. Like I had a client and she had lots of negative thoughts going on. So I told her, you know what? Just have a sticky note and remember, stop. Stop thinking of the negative thoughts. Stop there. Just the moment that you stop, you calm it down because you don't want to have
Yeah.
to go into a downward spiral and allow you to do that. And the third thing that I want to share is check your vitamins. If you're so much into that motivation, where is your omega-3?
Mm,
Check if you need to add more. Now, there are proper testing that we do, but GABA for motivation is really, really good. So
mm,
there are many things that you can do, but to calm down in order to move on is very important. Try to have a hug from somebody to calm you down so you can restart, reset, have
yeah,
a kind of a reset so
yeah.
you can start.
And actually, you know what? Since you mentioned the hug, and if there's no one around, you can always hug
Hug
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah. You know, because that also works. That also works. That's part of the reward process that we're talking about. And I like that you're laughing about it, but believe me, I always challenge my clients. I tell them try. I always say
Yeah.
try. Don't say
We can have a virtual hug now, all of us.
you
It
know,
feels good.
you can do
When you hug yourself,
it.
it feels really good.
It does feel good. It does feel good. And your body understands that this is an act of affection. You know, even your subconscious mind understands that this is an act of affection, that it's not like you're doing this just to do it. You are rewarding yourself. You are calming yourself. You are being, same to you, Marie. We love you. And virtual hugs to you as well. So, yes, hug yourself, pamper yourself, love yourself. Self love, my friends, takes you to places. It takes you so far, you have no idea. I'm going to share something with you. Over the past month and a half, I've been working so hard, and I had over the past 2 weeks, I was having very big events. And when I saw my clients like physically, everyone who saw me, they were asking me, what are you doing to be younger and younger every year? And that comment made me feel like all over the moon. And it felt so amazing. And at the same time, I felt that they were really genuinely saying that because I am feeling that. And why am
Yeah.
I feeling that? It is because of everything that I have been doing over the past few years. These people, the
Mhm.
people that were telling me this, they see me once every year, only once. And usually it's at the end of January. So every year they see me. Last year, they didn't say that to me. But this year, like I had maybe 10 people say the same comment. What is it that you are doing that you are getting younger? What's your
Wow.
secret? And I'm like, well, there is a secret. I've been working on myself. I've been loving myself. I've been creating the right space for me. And I have been saying yes to me before anything and before anyone else. And this is a practice that I urge every single one of you to start. Say yes to yourself first. Because remember, if you are not in a good, because a lot of people say, but I have to help my family, I have to help my children, and Hiba knows because she has a family, she has children. If you are not in the right space, if you are sick,
Mhm.
how will you be able to help? If you are sad, if you are unhappy with your own self, with your own life, with your within you, if you're not in the right space, how will you be able to project support to others? How will you be able to lend a hand to others? You won't be, because you're not
And
in. So if you don't have it, you can't give it. As simple as that, right?
one thing like I always do, I get somebody to get me accountable on something that I really want to do. If
Mm.
I feel like, I need kind of a push, I need kind of a support, so I call my soon. My
I
soon,
call
I'm
that
doing
accountability,
one.
friend.
The accountability partner is really, really important. Sometimes, it feels weird, like, but if you don't do it, then you're all alone in that. So it's really good to have support, to have help, because it's very true. We cannot do it by ourselves all alone. We need that push at the beginning to be able to get ourselves accountable. It's like, who's your accountability partner? Who's that person who's guiding, holding your hand, and walking you through those traumas, those emotions, those daily routine that you're unable to take?
Mm.
So who's supporting you? Because when, like, to be very frank, when we are in our negative thought, it's very hard. It's very hard to move away from them.
Yeah.
It's like there's a load of space, people around you, environment, your own traumas, and your body, and your brain, and a lot more. So by default, we need help. We always need some, each one of us. We need a friend. We need, sometimes we don't need friends. We need somebody who's like, if you're not focused, you need somebody who's more clear, who can see from outside, so you can zoom out, take you out of your space so you can see yourself. Because when you're around in that space, you're unable to do it.
Yeah.
I happens to me many, many times.
Yeah.
So I put myself, I have all of these things, but sometimes I say, okay, fine, this is not going to happen unless I put myself, I need to jump in the pool in order for me to do it. And this is what normally happens. I put myself accountable in front of the audience. Sounds like I'm doing it. That's
Yeah.
it. I'm just gonna jump.
And that's actually an excellent way of stopping procrastination, because procrastination is you moving backward actually and freezing, right? Is you going
Yeah.
somewhere else. So in order not to do that, is you take that step, and it only takes the first step, exactly like the ladder. Once you start, and I always compare this to the Pringles ad, when you pop, you don't stop. It's literally like that. When you start, you will, that dopamine dose that you get in your brain is actually, it's very exciting. So that excitement makes you want to do more and be more excited. So every time you do something and you get excited this much, you go like, oh, this is nice. I want more of this. And then you start doing more of this. And the other thing that
But
you
we,
very,
we need to be addicted to dopamine, which is not easy, my son, as well. Like our hormones, our nervous system is very, very tricky because we've been all our life doing the same thing.
yeah, yeah,
So we got into that habit of our brain is doing the same thing.
mm,
So the moment that you want to shift, your brain will tell you, come on, relax. You've been doing it all. I know my way. I know how it's been. So it's very true. We need always support. I have to, because I just checked the chat, and she was mentioning what I was saying. It's not that easy, but we can do it.
yeah.
Taking the support.
Actually, I want to and not disagree, but I want to change the story. I want to change this story. I want to change it for you. I want to change it for others as well. And I want you to change the story in your mind. I'm not saying that we don't need support, but I'm saying that we can do it. So instead of saying, I always need help, change the story in your mind. And that goes to you as well, Hercules. Everyone out there. Our story in our mind is always a negative one. Our story in our mind is always about us not being able to do something. So it's a very simple equation, really, and it's a very simple uh, play on words. Literally, it's you playing on words. But the idea is you playing on words all the time, not just doing it once and then falling back in the old pattern. And that's what you're talking about, Hiba, which is our subconscious mind is sitting in its comfort zone and it doesn't want to change it. Although its comfort zone is not really that comfortable, There are other things out there that are a lot more comfortable and a lot more enjoyable. But because our fear of the unknown is always hacking our brain and hacking our subconscious mind, we are afraid to take that step forward and we are afraid to change that story in our mind. So, what I want you to do and what I urge you to do is to start changing the story. And by changing the story, you start changing the words that you use. Those words, the more you use different words, the more you talk to yourself in a different way, the story, like on the long run, will change. And I'm telling you this from my personal experience. And Hiba knows that I, like, most of the time, I manage to get out of whatever I am going through without help because I changed that story in my mind. I have reached that point. But I also want to tell you something very important. A doctor needs a doctor. A healer needs a healer. We all need a support system in our life. We
Yeah,
all I don't want to use the word need. I don't want to use the word need, but we all deserve. Let's put it this way. We all deserve to have a
it's
support
nice to
system.
have somebody, right?
Yeah, we all deserve to have a support system in our life. We all deserve to have someone in our life who can just make us feel good about ourselves. Even if we are feeling at the lowest point in our life, we all deserve to have that person. Sometimes that person can be you. It doesn't always
Yeah,
have to be someone outside of you, you know? In certain places, maybe it is someone outside of you. For me, sometimes I do need I do deserve someone outside of my own space, of my own aura, of my own being, telling me what you're doing is amazing, or telling me, hey, I'm here, just go for it, I'm here, I'll hold your hand, or I'll carry you through it, or if you fall, I'm here, I will support you, it's good to have those people in our lives. We deserve it. We don't need it,
yeah,
we deserve it. And when you change that concept of you needing to you deserving, these people will start existing in your life. The
100%.
need part, which is coming from lack, will make it impossible for us to have these people. So that's why,
Yes.
again, changing the story in your mind, changing and using different words to really elaborate on what you really desire is very important. So the minute you change your
You
story,
know,
your life will change. I'm conscious of the time here, but this is so interesting. I want to talk more and more. Hiba, how
yeah.
about we do another
Mm.
one very soon?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Maybe we can continue because that topic is our daily life and the need and not the need. It's just that I wanted to emphasize that yes, when we are struggling, when we feel like it's life is hard, from where do I start? Well, all of that, just to accept that there are people out there to help and to support. and to allow yourself that you deserve to have that kind of support. Sometimes it's true, changing the need, but if we push ourselves to do it, then the moment that we say yes to myself, I deserve to have help. And here directly I change the words as you wanted.
And the help will
It's
come.
true.
The beauty of it is
Help will
that
come
help will come.
easily, effortlessly, the moment that we know that what do we really want? What do you really want? It's the simple thing, like every single morning. What do I really want? I want to be happy. Just put happy and go ahead.
Yeah. Again, instead of saying, I don't want misery in my life, I say, hey, I desire happiness and I deserve happiness and I am getting happiness. It's a very simple change of concept in our mind, of wording to our subconscious mind, that tells our subconscious mind, okay, she's looking for that specifically. So, hey, let's look everywhere in her life. What are the sources of happiness for her? What are the sources of success for her? And let's bring more of those. This is how our subconscious mind works, by the way. So if we want to stop procrastinating, instead of saying, I want to stop procrastinating, I will say, I want to achieve, I desire achieving 1, 2, 3, and 4, and do that list and put it in
Three,
front.
one,
Yeah, three.
two, maximum.
Yeah. So like three, because for me, three is a good number. And I know for you, it's also a good number. So three is a good number. But yes, let's start at least with one, especially if you are someone who's just starting this journey, who's just on the way forward, start with one. That one will lead to two, that two will lead to three. And then the ball starts rolling, and then you will have an avalanche of achievements, and you will be like, whoa, what happened there? What happened is that you said yes to yourself for the first step. And the minute you do that, everything else starts falling in place. So just because I'm conscious of time, we've already crossed the 1 hour. And you see, Hiba, with me, you talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I need somebody. I don't need somebody.
She's
I
there.
love to be around.
Yes. Okay, so guys, just for those of you who are, not familiar with either one of us or what we do, both myself and Hiba, we have developed, both of us have developed each her own program to support people in doing exactly this, getting out of their patterns, specifically that. And I think both our programs are very similar in that end specifically. So we both support people get out of their patterns. So if you relate to this, and if you think, now it's time for me to have someone hold my hand through that process, and someone who has been there, done that, and who has, you know, taken all the hardships, and they now have the solution. Hey, let me get to the solution straight away, instead of having to go through the same pattern and go through the same problems to get to where they are. Know that you can get to where we are just by using our support. So if you are that person, and if you feel we can lend you a hand, all that you need to do is let us know, right? So for me, just let me know in the comments on the posts that I put. You can reach out to me by email. You can please send me a message on Messenger. Hiba is also on the Mother of Pearl group, so if you feel like you want to
Yes.
talk to her, feel free to do so. There is no difference between the two of us, although we are both presenting completely two different things, but the end result is the same. And for me, I love this collaboration. It feels like both are, I'll get a percentage from you, Hiba. It's okay.
Yes, we will.
No, but really, if you feel like we can support you in any way, please reach out to us. Let us know in the comments, let us know in the messages, talk to us, and we will make sure to help you and support you the best way we can with what we are experts in. And if you are somewhere where we are not able to help you, we will guide you. We will maybe tell you, okay, maybe you should go there, or you should talk to this person, or that person might help you better than me. it's not about really both of us. I think Hiba and myself are in this to support and to help people
Yeah.
more than anything else. So please let us know. And what we will do is we will get on a call with you. We will talk to you. We will understand really where you are in your life and how it is that we can add value to your journey, if we can add value to your journey. And then we will see if we both are in sync, if our energies are working well together. And if we feel like, yes, we can definitely help you, we will both show you how working with us looks like. And we will take it from there. We will explain to you how we can help you. And then we will start that journey with you and hopefully hold your hand to get to where you want to be. So with that,
Yes.
I think, Hiba, we're going to have another one very soon because also whoever is watching today was asking, they were
They
asking
asked
for a
a
a follow-up
follow-up.
session. So hopefully we will have a follow-up session with Hiba very soon, and we're going to talk about some things, some other things in more details, and hopefully today we were able to answer some of your concerns, some of your questions, although we didn't really talk only about procrastination, but then again,
Yeah. Yeah,
we
and I'm really honored and very happy to have to be here and to have all of these questions. And thank you so much for showing up, being around, allowing us to be part of your journey, even for this hour. It's very important to put it out there so that you can start to have a mix of like things are possible.
yeah,
Our brain is really, really, magical, and we can hack it. We can do a lot. Our brain is like, we can do a lot, a lot, a lot.
yeah.
So thank you, Maysoon, for inviting me. And I'm happy that we're going to be doing a lot more
Yes, we will. We
to follow
will.
up.
I promise. That's my promise to you, Hiba, and my promise to everyone who's following. And we'll see you again next week. If you have any topics that you would like us, myself first, and then maybe again Hiba, to tackle or to tap on, please let me know. Message me on Messenger or a comment on Facebook, and I will make sure that we do that. Without further ado, I'll see you again next week. And for now, I will leave you in peace and ciao, ciao,
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.
everybody.